You just type in a little information, and within seconds, you'll have an idea of just how little money it takes to save big on that monthly electric bill. I did it, and within seconds, they measured my roof and calculated my savings. It's very impressive. Go to harmonsolar.com and give it a try yourself. That's harmonsolar.com.
Now open in Scottsdale. It's United Forte Custom Door Showroom with 40,000 Euro doors and hundreds of state-of-the-art designs and finishes on display, plus kitchen cabinets, bathroom vanities, and more, all at wholesale prices. Builders, contractors, designers, and yes, you. Come see our showroom on Greenway Hayden Loop. That's United Forte, P-O-R-T-E. Stop by to see and feel the quality. United Forte Custom Doors. Find us at uporte.com. That's uporte.com.
Looking for a gift for your kids or loved ones? Consider getting them something they'll use for the rest of their lives. An education. Open an AZ 529 education savings plan today. Contribute just $50 a month, and they'll have nearly $20,000 by graduation. Plus, your money grows tax-free and can be used for college, vocational school, or workforce training. An AZ 529 account will help them unwrap their full potential. Learn more at az529.gov.
This message is sponsored by the Office of the Arizona State Treasurer.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call. 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com.
KQFN Tempe. Also transmitting on K257CD Phoenix at 99.3 FM and K240 EU Mountain Hills at 95.9 FM. Wherever you go, take us along. Listen to our live stream on our free Fanatic app. Download it today.
And welcome to the Friday edition of Beat the Book. This is the last show of the week. And of course, we've got a busy weekend coming up ahead. We've got a lot of football, NFL, college football championship games being played tonight and tomorrow. Guess what? Plenty of bets about those things. We'll talk about what the Suns did for a little bit last night. We'll talk about it. We'll get to Alex Kane in segment number 2. We're going to talk about the Cardinals. We'll talk about ASU with him. We'll talk about, of course, the app Sport Trade. We'll talk a little bit more about that in just a second. We are broadcasting from the Harmon Solar Studios in sunny uptown Scottsdale. And you are on the text line at 888-368-1580, telling us how your bets went. Did they go well? Did they go poorly last night? We want to hear about all that stuff. And then we'll wrap the show up, giving you obviously the picks for the weekend and some of the college football championship things that are going on. Again, tonight, tomorrow, we'll be bouncing around all over the place, but we're gonna have a fun time and a good show. But before we get to any and all of those things, Dylan, who powers the show?
We are powered by Sport Trade, and as Keon mentioned, make sure you stick around for segment 2. Because as of today, we are rolling out the next Sport Trade Implied Probability Contest. And Sport Trade CEO Alex Kane will be joining us to go over the rules and explain how the whole thing works, what the prizes are going to be. If you do already happen to know how this thing works, you can go ahead and send in your submission to 888-368-1580. Otherwise, just stick around and Alex will be on with us and he will go through everything about the Sport Trade Implied Probability Contest. Now, in the meantime, make sure you download Sport Trade and use promo code 1580 to take advantage of their 10% cashback promotion on new account signups. And if you do that, it's going to help you actually get a little bit more out of being the winner of the Implied Probability Contest. So it's absolutely in your favor to leverage Sport Trade, one of the most unique sports betting experiences being offered here in Arizona, where sports betting is really going hand in hand with stock trading, so to speak. And when Alex comes on, he will go into more about how that works. And of course, we got to acknowledge, what happened with the Beat the Book picks, because we are giving out sports betting picks on this program. There is a website that you can visit, You can get there by following me on Instagram. The account is at Beat the Book Fanatic, all spelled out. You just click the link in the bio and go to the Beat the Book site, and you'll see all the daily posts that we make with the sports bets to place. You can also get there through the 1580thefanatic.com website. Just click on the Beat the Book with Dylan Cohen logo. That'll take you right to the same place so you can see where those bets are and what bets you need to be making. Last night, yesterday, 10 bets given out on the post. We won 6 of them. We lost 4 of them. So not a bad day, but I will be direct in that I didn't have the best betting day yesterday because I was very confident in our Phoenix Suns. I was very confident in Devin Booker.
All of the trends suggested that the Suns were going to play well in New Orleans. They typically do. Booker specifically typically does. And we talked about it before the show. He just had the worst shooting night of his life.
Well, and like to that point, I mean, he has a 30% field goal shooting night. That was the second worst field goal percentage that he's had in a regular season game so far this season. Despite that, he finished with 28 points, which feels kind of odd to say because generally if you're dropping 28 points in an NBA game, that's pretty respectable. But in Devin's case, it was a little bit odd how it worked out because he did start out pretty decent. He had 15 points in the first quarter. It wasn't that efficient, I will admit, because I think he was only like 4 of 10 field goals. He was doing a really good job of getting to the line. But the Suns were competing. They were honestly owning the first half of that game. And it wasn't until the second half where things turned, particularly in the third quarter, where the Suns allowed 45 points from the Pelicans that really helped them get back into this game.
Yeah.
And, in terms of the Suns money line play, this is, also a depressing topic because even though the Suns, let up on that lead and then, were down by 8-9 points with a few minutes left to go in the game, they rallied. They came back. Grayson Allen hit a very clutch 3-pointer with 3.7 seconds left to bring the score to a 1-point game. The Suns turn around and foul CJ McCollum. He then goes to the line. He makes his first free throw. He misses his second. Suns call timeout. So now we're down 2. There's 3 seconds left, and we get to advance the ball to the other side of the court. So it seems like a pretty good spot where we could go for a tie or perhaps get a nice Devin Booker buzzer beater. He's got a very nice portfolio of those.
Yeah.
And Bud draws up a play. The play gets Devin open on the inbounds pass. He catches it, but then from there, that's where the execution just unfortunately, it was not there. Devin ends up dribbling into a double team. He tries to get a 3-point shot up, and it's just not going anywhere. No apparent foul. He wasn't really even arguing it too. He knew that it just didn't work out. So pretty frustrating way to end that game. Suns lose 126-124. And I have a very bad feeling that by the end of this season, Suns are going to make the playoffs. I'm not worried about that, but it could be a scenario where, we could do a lot better if we just had one more win, and then we're gonna be looking at this game like, God, we should have had this one.
Yeah, this one, and hopefully not a ton more. But my guess is if you don't have Durant, there going to be maybe a couple more like that where they just kind of get away from you. Because like you said, there were so many missed opportunities throughout that game. And the thing that stands out to me are the wasted performances. You had a very efficient 24-point Bradley Beal night. He came back. He bounced back really well. 19 points from Royce O'Neal and a double-double from Grayson Allen. That like those are the contributions from like your role players that you need to have. And when they have nights like that, you kind of want to capitalize and get those wins. So yeah, that's the one that you're going to wish you had back.
So the Suns have tonight off, but then they play again in Miami on Saturday, and then they have a back-to-back. They play again on Sunday in Orlando. And with no Kevin Durant, those are not easy games for us. So hopefully Suns can recoup from this and just buckle down and try and do a bit better on this current road trip that they're on. But outside of the Suns game, there was another pretty exciting game that happened last night where things did go the way that I think we were, for the most part, expecting. And I'm talking about the Thursday night football game, which was broadcasted here live on 1580 The Fanatic. And in that matchup, the Detroit Lions did prevail. They won the game at home, final score 34-31. The Detroit Lions are now 12-1 on the season, 6-1 record at home. They just look like a force to be reckoned with here. And, we didn't talk about this a lot yesterday. The Lions had, injuries that they're dealing with on the defense. And there were guys that, are very good individual talents in their own right, but they were like signed, kind of on the fly and brought in and, expected to perform. And, it seemed like at first in this game, Detroit was up 10 points at halftime. It seemed like they still had the edge. But I think going into the second half, Green Bay was able to take advantage of just, the fresh faces in the, Detroit secondary. And, they were able to get some more points on the board. Keon, are you surprised with the way the Packers came back in the second half?
I'm not. I think, like I said yesterday, I think these two teams are really similar. The way that they play, the way that they use the running game to leverage openings for their passing game. I think that these two teams have a lot in common. So I didn't think that Green Bay was going to get destroyed or anything. I thought it was going to be a close competitive game. So Green Bay coming back in that game, I didn't find to be that surprising. I do think that while I expected him to have a big game, 3 touchdowns for Josh Jacobs was more than I saw coming. I wish I did. I would have bet it. But he just has such a way that when they get into the red zone and they need to score, he can drive his way into the end zone like nobody else. And like the injuries on this defense, it's getting to the point with the Lions where I actually have serious questions about why aren't people asking about Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator for head coaching jobs. This team has a rash of injuries. You talked about the new faces in the secondary. They don't have a very deep defensive line. The players that they started the year with have kind of been shuffled around. Obviously, Aiden Hutchinson's not even there, and they still keep finding ways to make crucial stops or big plays. And I thought the Packers took advantage of it, but when the Lions absolutely had to have it, they showed up.
Well, how about the Lions on 4th down?
Yeah.
I mean, we know, what the mentality is from them whenever they find themselves in those situations.
Yeah.
I did not see them running the ball on that very last 4th down.
Dan Campbell's got stones. And the thing too is it's actually a really smart football play. You know that the defense doesn't want to jump off sides. So they're going to always be laid off the ball. You actually have an advantage there if you trust your offensive line and you trust your running game. And I don't see why, after everything that they've shown us last year and this year, if you're the Detroit Lions and you've seen everything that you've seen from your two-headed monster and Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery and that offensive line and how dominant they can be, why you wouldn't trust them in a 4th and inches situation, which, yeah, it had a chance to go sideways on you. You could just kick the field goal, get the points, but now they've got 40 seconds to get back and try to score again. Or you could just end this thing right now. And anytime you give Dan Campbell the opportunity to take a game and put it on ice, he does it 100% of the time.
I got to say, I was a little frustrated towards the beginning of the NFL season because it just felt like and I know it's got to be a difficult job to try and forecast the season and then, the television games and what's going to be a primetime game. And then, we actually get around to it. And it seemed like time and time again, we just kept getting these like really worthless, like not very good matchups. But we're starting to get spoiled a bit in the second half of the season. And I just happened to pull up the Lions schedule. I'm looking at who their next game is next week. They play the Bills. What a game. I mean, that's probably, we've already seen them play the Chiefs. Like if there's any one team I want to see these guys go up against right now, it's got to be Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills.
Which could be a Super Bowl preview. I know that people have penciled the Chiefs into the Super Bowl, but they have injuries. They don't look great, and the Bills do.
Well, and that game is in Detroit, so it's not going to be like a Snow Bowl, kind of a game. So, and that's the one thing with Buffalo that kind of bugs me a little bit because they do have somewhat of an advantage. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a game that's in Buffalo during, like a big blizzard. The blizzard can be wherever. Those guys are just conditioned for it.
Yeah, that's they practice out there. Like that's their home advantage. Like that. And that's the reason, that's my argument against people who are like, why don't you cover up your stadium? because that's an advantage. Because if you can be tough in the cold and the other guys can't, that's a win for you. And wins are so hard to come by in the National Football League. Why would you take every opportunity to get an edge? That's an edge, and Buffalo has it. But I do think that when you have a game in the Dome, it is going to be a home game for Detroit, but we're going to see more what these teams are going to be like if they could meet in the Super Bowl, because the Super Bowl is going to be either in a dome like it is this year or in a warm weather location because it's the Super Bowl.
And, this game this is next Sunday, not this Sunday, but the way that it's scheduled right now, it looks like it's supposed to be one of the afternoon games. Is this the kind of thing where they might have some capability to like flex it?
It's early enough now. If they wanted to, they could. But also, you have to consider that the main network that has that game, there are some of those games they get to refuse. So you can flex it into prime time, but Fox, CBS
has it.
They're not going to give that to you for free. So sometimes there are deals that can be worked out, stuff that can happen to make those things happen. But CBS would have to say, yeah, we'll give up a game that would get us lots of ratings and just give it to you. And I don't know that they would do that for that particular game. So
maybe there's some arrangements that can be made there. I'm going to keep my fingers crossed because I'd love to see that be a Sunday night primetime game. There was another piece of sports betting related news that I wanted to shout out. This is something that actually got published here on ESPN very recently, like within the last hour or two. What appears to be the largest ever sports wager ever placed on an NFL regular season game was just placed today with the Circa Sportsbook out of Las Vegas. They took a $3.1 million bet on the Philadelphia Eagles to win on the money line this coming Sunday against the Carolina Panthers. This bettor got minus 700 odds on the money line, 3.1 million to win $442,800. So if this bet ends up winning, this person is essentially wagering 3.1 million to return a little bit north of 3.5. Now, in general, I guess I'm not the biggest fan of, hammering a minus 700 outcome. However, when you've got money like this and you can just scoop up 400K like it's nothing, I get it. But it's kind of fascinating because this is such a large bet that obviously it's moving the line. It's moving all the pricing.
Yeah.
So Circa is like scrambling right now. They're trying to, get some action going on the other side of this so that they're not, completely just, leveraged one side on it. And the owner of Circa Sportsbook, his name is Derek Stevens. He's pretty confident right now. He's saying that he believes out of all the states that they're operating in that they should have the liquidity to get enough buyback on the Carolina Panthers to where they're going to end up needing the Eagles to win. Actually, I'd have to look up if Carolina even allows sports betting because, outside of the people there, I don't know
who else would do that. Yeah.
So, if you're someone out there that's looking at that money line right now on the Panthers, I'm pulling it up here on FanDuel as we speak. Let's see, Panthers
and sports betting is actually legal in North Carolina. So
okay, so
do with that information what you will.
So there's going to be at least some group of people that are probably inclined to bet on their home team. FanDuel has the Panthers right now at plus 590, and then Circa, after they took that bet, they had to move Carolina to plus 650. Keon, would you bet on Carolina money line at plus 650 to win in Philadelphia?
At plus 650, you wouldn't have to make a very big bet. You if you threw $5 at that, that'd be a nice little payout for you.
Well, and the funny thing is the Panthers have been somewhat competitive. It feels like
it's not just somewhat. They've been really competitive. They look like a completely different football team. Last week they lost to the Buccaneers in overtime, 26-23. The week before they lost to the Chiefs, 30-27. Before the bye week they beat the Giants 20-17 in overtime. They beat the Saints 23-22. had a 28-14 loss to Denver the week before. And I believe that was before Bryce Young was actually put back in the starting lineup. So yeah, like ever since they lost to the Broncos, this has just been a different football team and a much more competitive football team. And you can see Bryce Young, he's out there. He looks way more comfortable, in the offense and understanding the NFL game, and things look like they've slowed down for him an awful lot. The running game for Carolina has absolutely emerged. I think that that's going to be a struggle against Philadelphia and the number 1 ranked rushing defense. But I still think that like that's a competitive football team to the point where like you look at that line, it's 13.5 for the Eagles. I would take the Panthers to cover.
Well, and I mean, we've seen crazy things happen already this season. We have seen huge spreads assigned to games where, nope, actually that favorite did not come through.
Yeah, and remember when the Commanders were like 12-point favorites over the Cowboys and then lost? Like, and they're not the only ones. That just comes to mind because that's my team. But there's a lot of games like that over the course of this season where you just go, wow. I mean, a team that you pretty much felt like you could have guaranteed would win by multiple scores is either losing the game or they won it, but they won it fighting for their lives.
Well, best of luck to whoever that was out there that put that bet down, and it will certainly make that game a little bit extra interesting than it probably otherwise would have been.
I can't imagine if the Panthers cost you $3.1 million. I couldn't live with myself if that is what happened to me in my life. I don't know how else to say that, but it would be hard for me personally to ever bet money again.
I would have a full-on mental break.
I'd be done.
Yeah,
that would be the last bet I would ever make. Because you just can't. You can't. How do you go on from there? But we've got Alex Kane from Sport Trade. He's coming up here in just a second. He's going to talk about the new stuff that's going on with the Sport Trade app, and he's going to be talking about the win probability contest that we've got with the Cardinals. That's back on this week, and they're playing the Seattle Seahawks. So go ahead and send those picks in, and we'll discuss on the other side. You're listening to Beat the Book right here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Sports bettors, we've all been there. You have a live bet lined up. You check the odds one more time, place the bet only to see the bet delayed by the spinny wheel, line move, and your bet rejected. My name's Alex Kane, and I'm the founder and CEO of Sport Trade, Arizona's newest sports betting app. At the core of the Sport Trade offering is our probability-based odds. In other words, the Cardinals may be offered at 55% odds to win, a lot simpler than minus 125. Place your bet at 55% odds, and as your win probability changes, so does the value of your bet, giving you the ability to cash out with total control. And the best part, no spinning wheels. Live bets on Sport Trade are instantly accepted. Download Sport Trade on your iPhone today and use code 1580 to earn 10% cash back on every bet in your first week. Terms apply.
Sport Trade is regulated by the Arizona Department of Gaming. If you or someone you know has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-800-NEXT-STEP.
At Diamond Dave's Desert Wholesale Diamonds,
we offer incredible diamonds, both mined and cultivated, all at amazingly low prices.
Check out these cultivated lab-grown diamond earrings.
2 carats total weight, collection color, and lab-grown, only $25.90.
And she'd love this amazing tennis bracelet in natural mined.
4 carats total weight in yellow or white gold, only $39.90.
And how about this diamond chain in cultivated?
12.5 carats total weight, collection color, and lab-grown, only $79.90.
And last but not least, especially this year, 1.5 carat floating diamond pendant.
Collection color and lab grown, only $9.90.
Call, email, or message us for an in-person appointment.
Or sit back and relax for free FedEx shipping anywhere in the USA.
Call Diamond Dave at 480-397-2450. That's 480-397-2450. Or follow him on Instagram at Diamond Dave Cantor. That's at Diamond Dave, Kantor.
Have a safe holiday season. This message is from Valleywide Fleet Maintenance of Peoria, serving the entire Valley of the Sun, specializing in all aspects of semi-truck repair and maintenance. Mobile service. They come to you. That's Valleywide Fleet Maintenance. Available for 24/7 assistance. Call your big rig repair professionals at 623-693-9266 or visit vwfleetmaintenance.com.
1580 The Fanatic.
Welcome back. This is Beat the Book on 1580 The Fanatic. I am your host, Dylan Cohen. In the control room is my co-host, Keon Rose. And right now, Alex Kane, the CEO of Sport Trade, is joining us on the show to give us the latest with Sport Trade and roll out this week's implied probability contest. Alex, how's it going, man? How are you?
What's up, guys? Happy Friday.
Happy Friday to you. And, this is a really great day to have you back on the show because I think just the sport of football right now is very important to the state of Arizona. We've got our Arizona State University Sun Devils playing in the Big 12 championship game tomorrow. And of course, we've got our Arizona Cardinals fighting for the NFC West division against our rivals, the Seattle Seahawks, this coming Sunday. And Alex, we took a break last week from the implied probability contest because of the Thanksgiving holiday. So I know our listeners, the Fourth Dimension, they are very eager to get back to trying to, figure out what the win probability is going to be for the Cardinals in this matchup. Would you mind just explaining for anyone that, maybe hasn't participated in this yet? What is this implied probability contest that you guys do? How does it work? What are the prizes? All that good stuff.
Absolutely. So the unique differentiator of Sport Trade is that we display our odds as probabilities. So right now, you can go on Sport Trade and see the Cardinals are offered a 58.5% chance to beat the Seahawks. That just means for every $58.5 you bet, you get paid out 100 if the Cardinals win. In our contest, all you have to do, you get one guess, you text it in, you submit what you think that number, currently 58.5% chance, what that number will be at halftime. So after the first half of the Seattle Seahawks versus Cardinals game, will it be 20% chance? Will they have a bad first half? Will it be 90% chance? We've seen that a couple times this year. Will they be up 17 points? Get one guess. The winner is the person that gets closest to what Sport Trade has the Cardinals win probability at halftime without going over. If you win, you win $50 in your Sport Trade account when you create the account, and a $100 Amazon gift card sent directly to your email.
So there you go. So the contest, again, you are guessing what the win percentage is going to be for the Arizona Cardinals at halftime of their game against the Seattle Seahawks this coming Sunday. And you can go ahead and start sending us your submissions. The text line is 888-368-1580. You do not need to have a Sport Trade account already set up to participate. But if you do get that account set up, then Alex and the Sport Trade team are going to send you $50 cash directly to your account. So you can turn around and start placing some bets on the app and start experiencing the Sport Trade advantage. And Alex, just also wanted to just have you share, are there any updates with Sport Trade right now within Arizona? Or are there any new features or maybe markets that you can wager on that weren't necessarily available before?
No new markets, but we will be coming out with a release next week, which we'll be able to talk about next week. That's going to be very, very exciting. So nothing new at the moment, but something new and a new promo coming from everyone, even existing users, coming next week.
Well, I'd love to hear that. Definitely building up the suspense there. So make sure that you tune in next week when we roll out what those new features and those new promos are going to be. Now, Alex, I'm not sure if you were able to tune in, but there was a pretty exciting Thursday night football game last night. And, when you wager on Sport Trade, one of my favorite applications of it right now is really in live betting because, the bet gets taken right away. It's seamless. There's no spinny wheels. I know we say that stuff on the commercial, but then you pair that with, the aggressive odds that you're going to get and the higher payouts.
and it's just a much safer place to actually make those wagers compared to some of the other sports books. So I'm just curious, how did Sport Trade do last night? Was there anyone that, perhaps made a live bet that might be notable to shout out?
Yeah, I mean, it was what a game, by the way. What an absolute thriller of a game. We had a customer. Now, remember, Sport Trade is very unique at the marketplace, right? You're able to buy and sell throughout the game. Sport Trade is really not setting the price. The market is setting the price. We had a customer put $1,000 down at halftime on the Packers to win at 21% odds. Packers scored twice very quickly. To start the third quarter, they shot to 56% odds, and the customer sold. That's the magic of the platform. SportTrade's the only site, the only app in Arizona, really the only app in the U.S. that allows you to bet the flow of the game, not necessarily the final result. So I haven't had a chance to speak with this customer, but I would guess that customer didn't actually think the Packers were going to win the game, just thought that 21% was an undervalued win probability, hopped in, put $1,000 at halftime at that price, 21% chance, saw that shoot up to 56% chance, and felt that was the perfect time to sell out. And of course, as we know, the Packers didn't win the game, but this guy made money betting on the Packers. I mean, what other app allows you to do that? So we saw, that was a very interesting thing for us to see. And I think the customer is very happy they sold out at 56% because, of course, we all know how that game ends.
So, and that's really interesting for you to shout out because, most other sports books, I think they kind of frame their apps and the context of what you're doing on there in a way where, it's definitive. I'm going to place this bet. I'm going to live with whatever happens. And then, I'm going to get shown throughout the game some arbitrary cash out amount, but I have no idea how that's being dictated or calculated. And then it might just like randomly go away on me. It's a very imperfect system. So you can actually leverage Sport Trade rather than, necessarily trying to predict a winner. If you just, you're following a game, you see things going a certain way and you're like, hey, Packers are going to come in and they're going to, start to even this up. That can just be your angle when you trade on Sport Trade. It's not about counting on the team to win necessarily. You're looking for a quick opportunity to profit. And, when you frame it that way, it actually is a lot more similar to stock trading, in that regard. And that was the original inspiration for Sport Trade. Is that right?
Totally. I mean, I think it's inevitable one day that customers are going to be able to look at sports betting in a way that's way more transparent, way more fair, way more efficient. Because when you place a bet, it shouldn't have to be the end all be all. You should have an environment like a Sport Trade where the prices are so tight. We call those the spreads on our platform. The spread between being able to buy and sell the targets, for example, are so tight that the transactions go through so quickly that you can actually start to think about sports betting in a totally new way, right? Think about that. Think about the Raiders last week. Who actually would be betting the Raiders at plus 600 odds to beat the Chiefs? Probably not many. But guess what? A lot of people on Sport Trade bought the Raiders at 13%. Those two things are the exact same thing initially, right? If you think about it as placing a bet, but they're actually quite different because most of those players actually ended up selling out before the Raiders ended up losing the game. But they sold out at a price higher than 13% because their intuition was correct. And their intuition was just simple as this. I think the Raiders will be above 13% chance to win at some point during the game. Now, the moment you start to think about sports betting in that way, I swear to you, if you're listening right now, it will change your life as it pertains to sports betting because you can start to think about maybe a golf tournament. Maybe I think Scotty Scheffler's going to get off to a hot start and then slow down. Maybe I think the Sixers tonight, they're at 40% odds to beat the Magic. Maybe I'll buy them. And you don't even have to do this just for the winner. You can do this on spreads. You can do it on totals. You can do it on player props. It's a totally different way of thinking about sports betting. And it's exactly why we've designed our contest to give everyone a chance to sort of get their feet wet. And the idea is like, where do I think that probability is going to go? Because if you think that the Cardinals win probability is going to go up and your guess this week is, let's say, 80%, then why not hop on Sport Trade, put $5, $10, $15 on the Cardinals at that 58.5% price, which is where they are right now. And you actually go to open the app and watch the win probability go up over time. And at any point, it's very easy to cash out that new win probability.
And there's actually settings within the app. We haven't really spoke a whole lot about this. And personally, I've seen it, and I it's something that I need to get to myself. But I mean, you literally have the ability within the Sport Trade app to essentially set, like a parameter. I'm going to buy at 58%, but if the probability ever hits, say 70%, then you have permission to go ahead and sell and take my profit. Am I understanding that right?
Totally. I think thinking about the metaphor for this, it's like we kind of want you to experience like this concept of buy low, sell high, betting slow the game. But it's really actually only your introduction to this, because the second that you do that, and say, okay, that was really cool. I bought the Cardinals at 58% chance and I sold them at 70. Then you can start taking the next step, just as you're doing, they're doing. So wait a minute, this app allows me to ask for a better price, whether I'm asking for a better price on my buy, getting into my bet, or asking for a better price getting out of my bet, my sell. And those are called limit orders. And yes, once you start to go down this path, you are walking down the path that will lead you to a place where you sort of transcend normal sports betting. And that's Sport Trade's huge vision, right? We want to create an app experience where people say, I use DraftKings, I like it. I use Bet365, I like it, so. But I also use Sport Trade because it allows me to do something I literally cannot buy the Cardinals at 58 and then pre-sell them at 70 before the game starts. I just can't do that. And that's the dream. That's the vision of Sport Trade.
Well, and to take that a step further, just to really help paint the picture of, the pricing difference, because I think this is something that gets lost on a lot of people that frequently sports bet. You just get kind of numb to pricing. Our Arizona State Sun Devils have a very big game tomorrow morning. They're playing in the Big 12 championship against Iowa State. And, if you look at the pricing right now on Sport Trade, and then I actually also have FanDuel pulled up in front of me. On FanDuel, Arizona State is a 1.5 point favorite, and they're minus 118 on the money line. Meanwhile, on Sport Trade, Arizona State is a 1 point favorite. So you're getting a little bit of extra juice there with the half point less on the spread. But then on top of that, on the money line, it's currently 52.5% win probability, which equates to minus 113 odds. So you guys are, outpacing FanDuel in that regard. And this was also a line that we looked at way back on Monday when you were on the show. And I believe at the time, I may be wrong about this, but I want to say Iowa State was 47% to win that game. And as of today, they're 49%. So it looks like this line is narrowing a bit, but so far you guys definitely seem to have the best pricing compared to anyone else that I've been able to look at on here. Do you know, like, is there any action you guys have taken, over the course of this week that might have moved things, or?
We saw some, you're right. Arizona State was offered at 55% on Monday when I was on there, and now down to 52.5%. They've gone down 2.5%. They've gone down because we've seen midweek action come in consistently on Iowa State, whether on a spread or the money line itself. If I'm a bettor now, I'm thinking to myself, okay, Arizona State 55%. That was too expensive for me at the start of the week. Now we're coming back down. Now we're at 52.5%. If I'm more of an advanced Sport Trade bettor, I'm saying, you know what? I think that's going to come down just a tick further. I'm going to come in and I'm going to place a limit order to buy Arizona State not at the 52.5% currently offered price, but at 52%. And now you're saying, okay, I think the market's going to bottom out right about here. It's kind of like buying Bitcoin. If you come way down, you save a little bit. And if you can get that right price, it shoots back up and you win the game, you'll profit that much more. Right? So that's just yet another thing you can do on the Sport Trade platform you can't do anywhere else. So if I'm a bettor, I'm watching this price now, and after the show, I might personally, can't bet on Sport Trade, of course, I might personally go and try to find the best price because I think Arizona State is a better team. They're playing better right now. The coach has got the players in the right mindset. And where 55% was too expensive, 52% seems about my sweet spot. And that's just yet another advantage of probability, right? Like, it's just hard to think that way. Like, minus 125, no, but minus 113, yes. Like, what's the difference between those two numbers? Especially if you're not betting to win 100 every time, right? It just makes no sense. Instead, to say, okay, 55% too expensive, 52% perfect, boom, place your bet. So that's just yet another differentiator of the sport trade platform.
Well, and then, on top of all of that, Sport Trade also goes another step further just to give you more tools and more information to help guide your betting picks, because there's this feature that's called the tape that gives you like the ultimate transparency on all of the wagers that are being placed on Sport Trade in real time. So, I'm going through the tape right now, and it doesn't look like within the last, hour or two, you guys have seen a ton of action on that specific game. But in general, I mean, just not even a couple of hours ago, $7,000 down on UNLV, and the Mountain West Championship, that one's going to be on tonight. That one definitely has some implications for ASU because Boise State is going to be participating. So I'm pretty confident our Sun Devil faithful are going to be pretty tuned into that game as well. But on this tape, Alex, I mean, you have the ability to just quickly see bets that come in, and then you can also, like actually tail them pretty quickly, through some features you guys have, right?
That's exactly right. And we're starting to see more of this. Like, customers will see, you mentioned a UNLV +4 bet. There's a big bet there. Any of these bets, right? You can say, I really like this. Here's a guy scrolling on the app. Here's that UNLV +4. Someone just took them +4 at 47.5% to +108. If you like that, you swipe right. It opens up the order window. You enter your $10 bet. You submit it. You go back to the tape, and guess what you see at the very top? Your $10 bet on UNLV +4. So it's a very, again, it shouldn't even, I think we need to come up with a new word other than sports betting, because it's so different. It shouldn't even be called the same thing. It's really more of a marketplace application, and a tape gives you the transparency that a sportsbook would never give you, which is where is the money going, on what outcomes, and at what price. And if you like any of those, like someone just put $200 down on the Dallas Stars on the money line to beat Las Vegas at 54.5%. I like that bet. I swipe right, I tail it, and now I'm on the tape.
Well, 21 minutes ago, there was a bettor that put $2,000 down on Boise State to win money line. And then shortly after that, there was another bet that came in for the over 50 total score for that Big 12 championship game between ASU and Iowa State. And, with the tape, if you haven't downloaded Sport Trade yet, if you haven't got involved in any of this, you can at least search the tape. You can see that, so you can start to see this kind of transparency that we're talking about here. That is probably one of the best ways to start to get your feet wet with Sport Trade and understanding what the platform is and what kinds of different things you can do on there compared to some of the other sports books. So I'm really excited to have you back next week so we can learn more about that new promo and the new betting market that's coming out. And of course, we will also be rolling out the winner of this week's Sport Trade Implied Probability Contest. So, Alex, thank you so much, man. Hope you have a great weekend. Appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, guys. And if there's anyone out there who wants to create an account, obviously, as the ad tells you, use promo code 1580, and I will literally text you and give you a personal demo on how to use it. I'm very, very excited about this. I'm confident that this is the best sports betting app you'll ever try.
I second that. And, there's so much more to come. So appreciate it again, Alex. And we will talk to you next week.
Awesome.
All right. That was Alex Kane, the CEO of Sport Trade. And as he mentioned, if you download Sport Trade today, use promo code 1580 to take advantage of the 10% cashback promotion that they're offering for new account signups. And you'll get a text message directly from the CEO, Alex, and he will be willing to take you by the hand and show you how the platform works. I don't know any other sports book whose, top guy is willing to reach out to you and give you that level of assistance. It's honestly one of a kind. Stick around, because when we come back, we're going to chat a little bit more college football. We've got more championship games to go through. We've got bets to give out this weekend. You are listening to Beat the Book here on 1580 The Fanatic.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic.
Live and local.
Let's say you've got questions. You're looking into solar, but you don't know where to start. Well, Harmon Solar has the answers. Hi, I'm Jeffrey O'Brien, and listen, there's a couple of ways you can go here. One, visit harmonsolar.com, browse around, because right across the page, they got links to all sorts of great information, like frequently asked questions, equipment, tax credits, even testimonials. Or just give them a call, 800-281-3189. Ask them directly. They'd love to hear from you. That's 800-281-3189. Or just go to harmonsolar.com. It's fall football season, and Kasai Japanese Steakhouse is doubling down, now with 2 Valley locations. When it comes to Asian cuisine, no one does it better and more authentic than Kasai, where talented Teppan chefs create the food, the fire, and the fun of teppanyaki. Kasai Japanese Steakhouse isn't just dinner, it's dinnertainment. A memorable dining experience where a delicious 7-course meal is prepared right at your table with flair. It's a perfect choice for celebrations, date nights, or a night on the town. Choose from over 30 different items and combinations of teppanyaki, Asian fusion, and innovative sushi. Happy hour is always on fire and offered daily with specials on their Asian-inspired comfort food like Korean steak tacos, Mongolian barbecue ribs, and signature Wagyu beef sliders. Always a memorable dinner, or catch the game and a bite at the bar at Kasai. Now with 2 locations, Scottsdale Road in Thunderbird and in Peoria at the 101 in Northern. Go to KasaiTeppan.com. That's Kasai Teppan.com, or search Kasai on your mobile phone.
Hey everybody, it's Mark Asher, back to tell you about my great friends at the Lund Mortgage Team. Did you know that the Lund Mortgage Team was founded back in 1999? That's right, they're celebrating 25 years in existence this year. And you know what you have to do to stay in business that long? You have to be good at what you do. And the Lund Mortgage Team is not just good, they are great. They have helped thousands of people save thousands of dollars over those 25 years here in the Valley of the Sun. They only lend in Arizona, and they're mortgage brokers, which means they can shop your rate around. They're not tied to just one set. Mortgage rates can get crazy. They can get high, low. There's good times to strike, and there's times to stay on the sideline. Let the Lund Mortgage Team be your coach, be your team leader when it comes to these huge decisions. Call 623-875-9940. That's 623-875-9940, or you can always check them out at londonmortgage.com. Great website with all the tools you need. Call them today. They're my great friends, and you'll love them. It's the London Mortgage Team.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today?
I think my battery's dead. With free battery testing and charging, we can help you get back on the road.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
So what if I need a new one? We have the right Duralast battery for you, only at AutoZone.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
And what about my old battery? We can recycle it right here at America's #1 battery destination.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Download our free sports app and stay up with all the latest sports news, scores, highlights, and more.
Or
stream us live anywhere
at 1580thefanatic.com.
1580 and 99.3 The Fanatic, Arizona's home for sports.
Sir drives a lot on the text line and had a question. Didn't quite get the question off before we had to let go of Alex Kane, but he said, I set up my account a few weeks ago. I haven't used it yet, and I'm still am I still eligible for the video instruction with the code? And so I was talking to Dylan about it over the break, and basically the number that texted you when you set up your account, if you text that number and say, I heard Alex on the air, and I would like that a lot, and that I would appreciate that, then I think that you would be able to get that done.
Alex is tied into like that number. So whenever anyone signs up for Sport Trade, what happens is like as soon as you're done signing up, you get a text message right away. And the text message basically says, hey, this is Sport Trade. Thanks for joining. If you ever have any questions, concerns, comments, we want to give you a line of communication to be able to reach us. And this is, pretty easy way to do that. So if you respond to that number that initially texted you when you set up your account, Alex is tied to anything that gets sent to that number. So he will be able to see that. And if obviously you mentioned that you just heard him on the radio and you'd like a demonstration, he will certainly be happy to, give you that demonstration. So that would be my advice for how to take advantage of that. Sir Drives a Lot. And then, for this last segment here, this is championship week right now in football. So it's only right if we, go through some of these games and we give our 2 cents about it. Keon, why don't we start with that Mountain West Conference Championship tonight? UNLV, Boise State. We said, what we said yesterday.
Mhm.
We feel the way we feel about this conference compared to the Big 12. However the final rankings are, the chips are going to fall wherever they fall. But within this game, UNLV is a 4.5-point underdog, and these two teams did play each other a little bit over a month ago, I believe.
October 25th was when they played last. Boise State was at home. They won 29 to 24, I believe. So it was a close game, and it was a 5-point game. This line is a 4.5-point line. And one of the things that you had on the Beat the Book post for today was to take UNLV to cover that. And I think that is a really good play. I think UNLV is a really good team. They match up very well against Boise State. They didn't have the advantage of playing in a dome, which is they usually do. They have the advantage of playing in a dome. The game is going to be at, this one's not going to be in a dome, but it's going to be at Boise. And this is going to be one of those games where I just think that Boise State's a very one-dimensional football team. They're a one-trick pony, but the one trick is really good. It's Ashton Jeanty, who might end up winning the Heisman when it's all said and done. But I do think that UNLV is versatile enough. This game is going to be close again. And also, you look at UNLV, they could just outright win this game.
Well, and that is the way that I'm leaning on it. In this case, they will be outdoors. They will be in the elements playing on that blue field. I don't think the blue field's going to trip them up very much. But when it comes down to these two teams, I just do not believe in Boise State being a formidable team, and we're going to see it. But up until now, it just feels like we've only seen these guys play in like 2 meaningful games all season. And we give them their props for a very narrow loss to Oregon. And then,
this is the other meaningful game that they play.
So
it's just you can't. There's a certain level of like you just take the test that's in front of you. Like they can't help that they're playing in the Mountain West. You play a schedule as well that these schedules get decided 3, 4, 5 years in advance. Yeah, if you knew you were going to have a team this good, you might have put better opponents on it for this season, but you didn't know what this season was going to look like 5 years ago when you made the schedule. So there just is a certain level of projection that you have to do. Boise State's going to have to prove what they're worth here. This is a big game for both of these teams. UNLV knows that if they win this, because Tulane lost in another spot, Tulane was going to be that next team in if Boise State lost. They're not just playing spoiler. UNLV's playing to be in, but also Boise State's playing to prove their worth here. Because if they show up, they play good defense, Ashton Jeanty runs all over the place, they're getting that bye. Regardless of what it is that anybody thinks that they deserve, they're getting it. But if they struggle in this game, if this is a game where they have to come from behind and win it, if there's a game where it's close and they squeak it out, they may not end up earning that spot if ASU can, for instance, be dominant against Iowa State tomorrow.
Well, speaking of ASU and Iowa State tomorrow, let's move on to that Big 12 championship game on at 10 a.m. on ABC as of right now. And we just mentioned this during the Alex Kane interview, but the line has narrowed throughout the week. It's not very far off from a pick 'em at this point. And this is definitely one of the ones I'm pretty sure that we do agree on. We're pretty firmly in the camp of ASU here, right?
Yeah, I think ASU is the better football team coming in here. And I know that Jordan Tyson is going to be a massive loss. That's you just can't overlook a guy that scored 10 touchdowns for you in a season, and he's a 1,000-yard receiver, and he's Sam Levitt's favorite target. But I just would like to point out that he's not the only weapon on the team in the passing game. And, Xavier Gilroy, I think, has played really well. And, Shimon Metayer has also played really well as well. So I think that there are still passing options for this team, and their bread and butter is the ground game. Like, that's ultimately what it comes down to. The specialty of the Iowa State defense is actually their pass defense. So if they fail to contain Scadaboo, like, I don't know that this necessarily works in their favor anyway. Whether or not Jordan Tyson's there, and he's not going to be, I still think that I think ASU has more bags in their trick, or more tricks in their bag. And I also think that, like, Kenny Dillingham's a brilliant coach. He just seems to be able to morph his offensive game plan to whatever it is that team needs. I don't know that losing Jordan Tyson kills the Sun Devils here. I like them to win this game. I know that this is something that would be absolutely huge for them. Kenny Dillingham would never have to buy another drink in the city of Tempe ever again if you were to pull this off the way that they were ranked coming into this season. So I think I'll take the Sun Devils to win it.
Well, and I know personally a handful of people that are flying to Dallas to go watch this game in person. I think the ASU fans and the alumni are going to travel in force for this. It could very well be, somewhat of a home field advantage from that perspective too. But if you want to check out the other picks that we have posted for the weekend, check out that Beat the Book website. There are plays in the NBA tonight. There are plays for college football tonight and tomorrow. And there are plenty of NFL picks for Sunday as well. That is all I have, Keon.
That's going to do it for us. One last look at the text line, and we've got T-Licious saying that his fingers, his eyes, and his toes are crossed because he's got ASU to cover that 1.5 point spread. Texas on the money line. Oregon covering the 3.5 point spread, and SMU beating Clemson covering that 2.5 point spread. So, hey, best of luck to you, man. I hope it all works out.
Rooting for you.
Yeah, we root for those kinds of bets around here. So, best of luck. This is Beat the Book, and we'll see you guys next week. The Daily Blender is coming up next.
I'm Rex Lewis with NFL Network now on the Westwood One Radio Network. Week 14 kicked off with the Lions winning 34-31 over the Packers on a Jake Bates game-winning field goal. Jared Goff threw for 283 yards and 3 scores. David Montgomery had 84 total yards and a rushing score, while Jahmyr Gibbs added 73 total yards and